Hey, Adam, good afternoon. You have a four-game road trip, and you win two out of your three, and you also like the game where maybe you didn't get the reward. One more game here, is it sort of, you look at it in a good road trip for the Jets, maybe make it a really good or a great road trip with the result tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we look at kind of how we've played and the style we've played. I don't know if we necessarily loved our first game at Edmonton, but we were able to find a win. And I think the last two games are a lot closer to the style that we want to play. And, it's important that you keep piling up points. And, we know how difficult it is to win back-to-back games in these series. And, yeah, I think 3-1 would be a terrific result. And that's, what we're aiming for tomorrow.
I'll go next to Scott Billick from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Adam, in talking about style, how difficult is it to remain consistent in your game when you're playing a team, kind of over and over again, where they adjust and you have to adjust to those different things? It's sort of like playoffs maybe, but like just having to kind of make minor adjustments to the way you play every game. Does that impact consistency, I suppose?
Well, I think when you look at it within the series, the minor adjustments aren't that significant. You got to adapt a little. Maybe there's going to be more time and space in the middle of the ice. Maybe, they're going to activate their D a little bit, or they're going to change some things on their forecheck. I think you look at the style from series to series. You look at kind of how Edmonton generates their chances. A lot of it's off the rush. You look at how the Flames, they're very active from the back end. They have a lot of tight puck support and things like that. So every team kind of is different, I think, and you have to be ready to play different styles of game while you're trying to still kind of maintain that consistency and that structure in your game. So I think when you go from series to series, it's a little harder to maintain that consistency and that structure, as opposed to the minor tweaks and, within the series. I think, certainly on special teams, the teams are going to adapt, and that's something you have to be ready for. But, I think, we're starting to get used to it. It's kind of similar to the playoffs, where you had success one night, and now it's, being ready for what the team's going to change to try and kind of combat that success.
I'll go next to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, Adam, I know you guys aren't really big on stats and trends and that sort of thing, but the one thing that really stands out with Vancouver now, 0-11 when they give up the first goal of the game. I know it hasn't been as big a deal for you guys scoring first or allowing the first, but is that a stat that does catch attention and maybe factor into a little bit, because you have been able to get off the real good starts the last couple of games on this road trip?
I honestly didn't know that, but yeah, I think it's not so much a factor. I think in our room, maybe it's a bit of a mental hurdle for them that, they feel they get down and they've had a tough time coming back. But, I think it's one of those things that over the course of the season, I don't think that's going to necessarily be a trend. Eventually teams are going to be able to kind of dig themselves out of the hole. But, anytime you can kind of get that first goal, it definitely puts you in a position to succeed. It's a lot easier to play with the lead. You don't have to take some unnecessary risks. You're not constantly pressing. I think, you get off to a good start, you kind of build that confidence, so you're able to roll your lines a little easier. And, it just kind of allows the game flow, especially from your team's perspective, to kind of roll a lot more easily.
We'll go next to Ken Weave from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Afternoon, Adam. What are some of the challenges in opposing your style of play on your opponent when you're playing them with a little bit greater frequency?
Yeah, well, I think, they start to find ways to kind of break it down. You play a team enough, you're going to find weak spots. There's certain things that you can kind of do against different forechecks, against different neutral zones, and that can alleviate some pressure, or kind of be able to catch a couple guys. So it's important that you're checking in the right lanes. You have your sticks in the right spots to kind of make sure that if they're gonna be moving the puck, it's not easily, it's not efficiently. Make them have to kind of work to get up the ice. That if they do kind of beat the one guy, they're not beating two guys, they're not trapping two guys low, and getting those odd man rushes, 3-on-2s, 4-on-3s kind of thing. So I think some of that is you kind of have to be consistent in your structure and, trust the guys that they're going to be able to kind of slow down the D-man on the forecheck and things like that. And then it's just, trusting your team's ability and, staying in that style. And, I think you can kind of start to build some momentum. You start to kind of, shift after shift, kind of wear them down with that style. And, then you're able to start kind of imposing it a little more.
We'll go next to Jamie Thomas from Jets Radio. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hey, Adam, what's it been like being able to trust the fourth line whenever it goes out there? There was 2 really good shifts in the third period yesterday when you guys were holding on to the lead.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think, anytime you can roll all 4 lines, it helps. It takes some minutes off the big guys. And, Louis and Hark have, really played key roles. And, having Tomer back there, he kind of really just brings that veteran presence, kind of, settles things down. He's real steady out there. And, I think they've done a really good job contributing. It's not necessarily every night on the score sheet, but Louis has been, a huge addition to our PK. And you look at the other guys, even with Vess out there, they've had a lot of good zone shifts, a lot of good chances where they've created some things. And, you look at it 2 or 3 shifts later, one of those lines ends up breaking through, and it all starts with some real good shifts from them. So, it certainly helps. I think, like you said last night in the third period, Van had us hemmed in our zone, for a couple minutes at a time, and we throw them out there, and they kind of tilt the ice back in our favor. So, it's certainly important that we have that depth moving forward.
Just a couple more for Adam. We'll go back to Scott Billick. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Adam, just wondering has there been an emotional toll this season for players? Have you noticed it kind of 17 games in with just COVID, the testing, all that kind of stuff, everything that's different, staying in your hotel room, whatever it is. Have you noticed that at all, or have you guys kind of gotten used to it?
I think early on, with the changes and things like that, we're such creatures of habit, and, we love our routines, and you're kind of thrust out of your routine early. You kind of have to make all these adjustments. And now that I think we've got the processes down, we're kind of used to it. It seems like this is the way it's been for a while now. And yeah, it is certainly different. You're not going out on the road. You're not going out for dinners. You're not allowed to, see friends, family kind of thing on the road and things like that. So there are some changes. It's a little more time in the hotel room, but I think with that, we've been able to adapt. Guys are spending a little more time on, watching shows, reading books, playing their Nintendo Switches, whatnot. And yeah, now, I think we're all pretty used to it. I think maybe early on there was a bit of an emotional toll. You just kind of almost that anxiety of, trying to get used to everything and kind of the unknown. But now it seems like, with all the processes we have in place, we're all used to it, and it's just kind of like our normal routine.
And final question to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Probably another stat you're not aware of, Adam. So, but you guys have won 6 straight in Vancouver, and you've beaten the Canucks 11 out of the last 12 times. When you have success against a hockey club like that, does part of that, I'm guessing that you would view it a little bit differently as opposed to if you'd lost 6 straight in Vancouver, hadn't won there since whenever, and you'd lost 11 of 12 to them.
Yeah, you know what, I think, I didn't know the exact record, but I knew we'd had some success against them and in Van as well. And, I think it's one of those things that they've had a real competitive team over the last several years. And for whatever reason, they feel like they've been real tight games. And, we've been able to kind of come out ahead. Brossois, a couple shutouts, and we've had great goaltending, and that certainly plays a major factor when it comes to these series and kind of the ebbs and flows of the team's records between each other. So I think it's just for us, we look at it as another game, and hopefully we can kind of continue this streak. And it's important when we play them so many times that if you can kind of get the edge, maybe it's a little mental advantage for us. That's huge.